Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. So glad you joined me today because on today's show, folks, we are going to make a very rustic Italian dish called polenta. And polenta was made back in the day because it was very inexpensive and a small polenta went a long way. So in the tough times, they were able to feed the masses. But what they also found out, along with being an economical dish, boy, is it ever tasty. So nowadays, we make it not necessarily to stretch a meal, but to enjoy because it really is tasty. And while I'm cooking this polenta, I'm going to share with you some of the past traditions as well. Let's get started. Today, we're actually going to make the instant polenta, which only takes 2 minutes. Pronto in 2 minuti. I usually cook it a little more than 2 minutes, but unbelievable that a polenta can be made in 2 minutes. Back in the day, it took an hour. And this is actually corn semolina. Back in the day, they used corn flour. And so what I've got here, I have 225 grams of the instant polenta semolina. And I've got 1 liter of water. So to 1 liter of water is the ratio for 225 grams of polenta. And that's going to feed both Laura and I, 2 people. I also have a sauce on the go. I have some leftover sauce here from the other day, and I'm just going to heat that up. And if you want to see my classic sauce recipe, I'll put a link in the description. You can check it out because it's a beauty. Okay, so to the boiling water, you bring your water to a boil. So it's 1 liter of water. Bring it up to a boil. And now I'm going to add my salt. I'm only adding a ½ teaspoon of salt. So it's salt to taste, whatever you like. You like more, add more. You like less, add less. Okay, now to cook this polenta, all you have to do is very slowly add it. Just let it add it, and as you're adding it, just stir it in. So slowly add it and stir it in. Now, as I'm doing this, I want to tell you that the traditional way, I remember my mother using a great big pot and cooking a lot of polenta for a family of 6. And with a great big wooden spoon and stirring it all day. And it takes an hour. In fact, recently I went over to my Zia Nina and Zio Pasquale's house for a traditional classic polenta dinner. And my Aunt Nina, my Zia Nina, was cooking the polenta in a big pot, just as I mentioned, with a spoon. And then my cousin Maria would pitch in and she'd start to stir it because it's a lot of work stirring that polenta for an hour. And then I even got in on the mix and I started stirring the polenta to help out a bit because, like I said, it is a lot of work. So this, what we're doing here today, is so much easier. And in fact, when I was at my Zio and Zio's house, after we made the polenta the traditional way, we also ate it the traditional way. So back in the day, what they used to do, and in fact, we did this as well growing up as children in our own household, is they would take the polenta, spread it out over a board, a wooden board, and then put the sauce on it like you normally would and cheese. And then what they would do is the whole family would sit around the board and eat the polenta. Talk about a family dinner, sitting together and having dinner together. What a way to do it. Okay, that is the traditional way. I'm going to lower the heat a bit because it's going to splatter. So I'll put the heat on medium-low. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, I got to tell you, growing up, sitting around the board and eating polenta with the whole family. And you know what? It was not only tasty, it was a lot of fun. Because at the end of the day, we'd always take a look and see, you know, what kind of shape we were left with when we were done. And it was always very interesting to see what the leftover polenta looked like on a board. Well, today we're not going to be using a board. We're going to serve this on a plate, which is going to be just as good. Okay, now having said that, we're going to serve this the traditional, I'm going to say central southern Italian way. So the polenta is going to be poured out and served almost like a pancake, okay? And eaten with, we're going to put sauce on top, and of course parmigiano-reggiano, a little bit of chili pepper if you want. And that's how we eat it in the central, in the Abruzzo region. However, in the northern parts of Italy, in northern Italy, what they like to do with polenta is they like to take it one step further and bake it. And they'll take a polenta and they'll bake it like a loaf of bread, or they'll grill it. Handle's getting a little warm, no problem. But yeah, so there's different ways you can cook the polenta, but what we're going to do today is the traditional central/southern Italian way, the way we ate it and still eat it from Abruzzo, Italy. Okay, so it's been almost 2 minutes now, so I'm gonna give it 1 more minute. I like to give it more than the package indicates, just an extra minute more. I mean, after all, 3 minutes to make a polenta, that's really something. You can come home from work, you're rushed for time, put a liter of water on, add your polenta, and next thing you know, you've got dinner. And in fact, okay, I have that leftover sauce cooking here, which I should take the lid off. If you don't have sauce handy, the other way you could serve this is you still make it and serve it what I'm going to say white. You could make a quick white sauce, a milk sauce, or what I prefer is you just heat up some garlic and olive oil and pour that over top and have basically garlic and olive oil. And in fact, if you put some chili pepper in there too and just put that over top of the polenta, that makes for a great polenta dish as well. So you don't necessarily have to have the tomato sauce. But I'm going with tradition today. We're going to have the tomato sauce. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes. So I'm going to turn off the sauce and turn off the polenta. And now, quite simply, we're going to take our polenta and we're going to plate it. So as I said, that little bit of polenta is enough to feed 2 adults. Amazing. Like I said, a little bit of polenta really goes a long way. So you just plate it, spread it around. There we go. Okay, that one's done. And I'll take this. I'm going to do the same thing. Oh yeah, this is super nice. Polenta, what a dish. Okay. Scrape it all out. Same thing, just kind of work it down just to fit the plate, just like that. Okay, now comes the fun part. And trust me, that's a lot. It's gonna fill us up. By the time you have a little antipasto, a vegetable, maybe a little bit of leftover meatball or two and some salad, you've got a fantastic meal. Now, the other thing you could do is you could put a nice meat ragu sauce, like a Bolognese sauce. And I have a recipe for that too. If you want to check that out, I'll put the Bolognese recipe in the description as well. But this really makes the polenta right here. This right here, oh yeah. Don't be shy with the sauce. Spread it around. Okay. Talk about a quick meal. All right, now there's no cheese shakers here, folks. This is where you need a spoon. You need a lot of cheese. This is Parmigiano-Reggiano, the real deal from Parma, Italy. That's what you want. Don't buy the canned stuff that says Parmesan on it because it's not Parmigiano-Reggiano. This is the best and adds the best flavor. So the other thing you could add, I like to add, are some chili flakes. Yeah, again, that's optional. It's to your liking. But I remember my father, and we used to serve this on a board. He would actually take the cheese in his hand and just, that's how much cheese he put on. Lots and lots of cheese. Okay. I think that's enough. Look at this. The classic, rustic, Italian polenta. Oh my goodness. We're going to have to dig into this. I'm going to put a little chili flakes on this one though for me. And then I'm going to do the taste test. Just take a look at this polenta. Oh my goodness. And I've got my fork. You know what that means, folks. This here is what it's all about right there. Oops. All right. Look at that polenta. That's how it comes out, and it's piping hot, so I'm gonna have to be careful here. I'll tell you, whoever invented instant polenta deserves a lot of credit, because now I can have one of my favorite rustic Italian dishes in minutes. And when you have a fantastic sauce to put on top, look at there. I'll tell you what, there's no better. This is a fantastic meal. And you saw how quick and easy it was to come together. I hope, folks, you dig into a little bit of Italian tradition and dabble a little bit with polenta. Try it with whether you're serving dinner for one, dinner for two, or dinner for six. It comes together very, very easily, and I assure you, everyone will be very, very happy, including Laura, who I need to call, because that's whose dish that one is. I want to thank you for joining me. It's always great to see you on Cooking with the Koyas, and until next time, buon appetito. Yes, this is really good. And oh, by the way, that little chili pepper, bang on.